What a good day. Oh, I have something to show you that I just love, and I think I start that out every program, right? Today I'm going to show you how to do a special binding called the flange binding. The flange binding, and this is the best part. It is all hand sewn. Whoops, cut. It's all machine sewn. That's a better thing, right? Yes. It's all machine sewn. Okay, so it sounds like it's new, right? Well, I just want to tell you what's old is new again. So this is one of my antique quilts. You excited to see it? This quilt has such a fun story. I just love it. Is it cool? And look around the outside edge. The flange binding. A flange binding is a little narrow accent piece that's next to the border, in between the border and the binding. This little narrow piece is what makes it so cool. And I just want to tell you about this quilt. I've had it for a number of years. I think it's like Washington's cherry tree. Don't you think? Oh, yeah. I think so. I think that's what the quilter thought, because she has a tree and red in there. I've had it for a number of years. I bought it in Zelienople, Pennsylvania, my hometown. And I bought it in an antique store, and when I saw this, I was so excited. I took it to the cashier, the owner, and she said, "Oh." I said, "Oh, what's wrong?" She said, "One of our local ladies wanted to buy this quilt." And I said, "Well, did she put any money down on it?" "No." "Did she leave a check or anything?" "No." "Well, I can buy it then, right?" So she said, "Okay, I guess so." So she sold it to me, and then I said, "Do you know who made it?" "Oh, I'm not allowed to say." I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sad." She said, "It's from an estate, so I'll whisper who made the quilt to you." Okay, whisper it, and I could not wait. Do you know whom she whispered? Mrs. Flowers, my Sunday school teacher. Is that cool? I think that is so cool, but anyhow, I do not know who wanted this quilt, but I dearly love it myself. And when I saw that flange binding, I go, oh my gosh, this was made maybe in the 40s, don't you think? It's all hand done. Oh, you know what? It is actually machine quilted. Oh, go close. Now that I looked at it, it feels so good. Doesn't it feel good, Teresa? Mm-hmm. Look at the stitching. Oh, Ryan, if you can go right up here, you can see the stitching. Can you imagine? That is machine. That is just truly amazing. And you can really see the stitching on the back. See, I never even thought about it as being machine quilted. And it's just like a crosshatch. She did a good job. I don't see any puckers, do you? No, it's beautiful. Anyhow, my George Washington cherry tree. First one we want to show you, and then we have quite a selection to see right through here. So let's see this one. This is one that I made. I love it. This is called Bear Tracks. It comes from 10-inch squares. It's one light 10-inch square and a second dark paired together, light and dark paired together. And there's actually 16 half square triangles, and with the second set of dark and light, you can make the sawtooth border around the outside edge. Ooh, do you like it? But look at the flange border. I love this bright red, this red around it, the outside edge. And it's kind of unique because you start on the back and bring it to the front. Ooh, you want to see my back? I'll even show you my miter. I don't even mind. That's pretty exciting. And then on the top, just that touch of red really adds a lot of interest to it, doesn't it? So it's just 9 blocks, and you know, it was one set of 40 10-inch squares that I used to make this quilt. So it was just really, really fun to do. And the pieces, this is just like a small scale print in the light, and the dark, it's almost read solid from a distance. So you have to kind of pick your fabrics so that they look good in the bear tracks. All right, ooh, it's machine quilted. Okay, that's the first one. This one Teresa did. And it's just so cute. So tiny. Teresa made this one for her new baby, who is due this week. This week. Oh, really, really fun. So this one was really a scrap leftover package of 10-inch squares. She just really, these look really good, right? The light and the dark, a small scale print, one that reads solid. And she didn't have quite enough fabric, so she just mixed them up. Yeah. So there's 2 alike on opposite corners, and this one has extra pieces from this one, I think. These are rather light. They are a little light in the quilt. They don't show as much of a dynamic pattern. She said, no way, I'm not going to do the sawtooth border. I'm going to do it fast. And so she did 4.5-inch squares around the outside edge. And look at this. Is this cute? A little blue with the little orange polka dot. That was really cute. This is what's really funny. I didn't want to sew my sawtooth border together because I thought it would take too long. She did it for me. I'm going to tell. Okay, so look at the backing. Whoa, like the backing? Ah, this is the one that I'm going to bind today. Isn't that fabulous? I love it. Okay, this quilt, this is Bear Tracks as well. I actually had one bright colored package, 40 10-inch squares, but I picked a second package of all light, 40 light. And to make the 12 blocks, I needed 24 of the color and 24 of the light. And look, I did it myself. I was very excited. And you know what? It doesn't take long at all. So this one is really ready for binding. It's been quilted and trimmed up to the edge. The batting and the backing have been trimmed away. Okay, set that one aside because we're going to do that one. We're going to show you, but we still have more. I love this one. Look what's coming. The plaid. Plaid. Oh, I like the back. Let's show the back. It looks like Christmas, doesn't it?
It is Christmas, I think.
Isn't that pretty? Very, very pretty. Nice quilting on it. You want to see the front? Okay. Patty did this one. Whoa, isn't this nice? Very, very nice. This is the patch that is in my new upcoming book. It's Go Out of the Box. And look, we made 2 sizes of blocks. We made from a 6 cube and a 12 cube. I think that's what we did. And
That's
it's the block.
The 12 cube, yes.
It's a 12. And it is called Road to Paradise. Now, what do you think? Where does the Road to Paradise go? To Quilt a Day! Did you say that? Yay! Quilt in a Day. And so it's just really fun. But Patty used the dark forest green, beautiful. The dark forest green is the accent in this. The accent. And the binding is the beautiful plaid. So it's got that little dark flange around the outside edge. It really dresses it up, doesn't it? It really dresses it up. It's fun. It's really fun. I like that one. Okay, I gotta look and see. Ah! So this one is called the Shining Star. This one is really great. This is gonna be perfect for 4th of July. 4 little blocks, just lattice set in between red, white, and blue, of course. Birthday quilt. The little flange, bright red, and then the binding, the blue plaid, framing the outside. And it really looks good against the white, doesn't it? And this is another one that's in the new AccuQuilt book. Coming up. Okay. And let's see. Oh, Teresa, you got a whole bunch of them. You've never seen it before? That's good. That's why you came. Okay. This one, David did this one. David did this one. It's the same block. It's called the Shining Star. But we were really practicing on that flange, the accent, and then the blue. But it looks really 4th of July, doesn't it? It almost reminds me of that flag going with the white, the blue, the red, and the off-white. I really like that. It's kind of like a light brown in there. So it was just really, really fun. The quilting is phenomenal. You ready? Woo! Wow. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now the next one, you are going to say, can you put a flange binding on a scallop edge? You can. You ready? Okay, hold this one. Teresa did this one just recently.
The binding.
She did the binding. Is that?
Oh,
Whoops.
we have it outside.
Whoops. Is that better? Okay, anybody know the book that it?
Cherie did it.
Sherry did it.
Cherie.
Cherie, and she just left for the binding for us to finish. Do you know what book it's from? This is from Elle's Kitchen. Recipes, right. But it's interesting. The original Elle's Kitchen has a big basket right in the center, but there is also the directions for the smaller block, and that's the size that she used in the center. It's really, really nice. And instead of like the vine around the outside edge, she used squares. I like that. It's a lot easier. But look at the edge. Isn't that wonderful? And so is it easy or hard?
Oh, it's good. You just have to cut it on the bias.
Cut it on the bias, yeah, just like every other binding that you put around the outside edge. Good? Ah, what a show, huh? Whoa, you've got the idea now. Okay, so now I have to get around here and pick up all my pieces. So, I love my box. And I started out with those 2 40-inch squares, and I have vowed I'm not going to put my box away until everything is sewn up. Cool? So I'm just going to show you. So I have my blocks. My blocks are ready. And I just could not waste one single scrap. So after the blocks were done, I did my 4 patches and used up every little scrap. And these are all of my sawtooth border, all ready to go. I can't wait. All right. So, put that back aside, and I want to have you turn to your border right on the back. Your flange border is on page 10. Starts on page 10. Flange binding, I said border. All right, so this is how we start. This is how you learn what is your flange and what is your binding. So there are 2 sizes of strips. What do you usually cut your binding for one color? What size? 2 1/4, 2 1/2. I use 3-inch because I really like to have wide ones. But there are 2 sizes of strips, and it goes like this. It says, it's the very first sentence. First you have 1 1/2-inch strips. I bet you this is 1 1/2. And that is the binding. And then the 1 3/4-inch strips, a little bit wider, is the accent. So 1 1/2 for the binding and 1 3/4 for the accent. And so this is kind of interesting. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. It seems kind of opposite, that the narrow one would be the binding, but just think which is the skinniest part. The skinniest part is the accent. It's the reverse. So this is the binding, and that's the accent. Okay, so what size is the binding? 1 1/2. And what comes around to the front is the accent, and it's what size? 1 3/4. Yes! That's where.
Is that after you fold it?
Yep. Just a minute. Hold your horses. Okay, so she cut my pieces already, but so this is what we're going to do. We don't want to have all of the seams all lined up and be bulky in one section, right? So we're just going to mess up our seam. We're going to make it very confused. We're going to take, this is my binding, and I'm just going to measure over about 10 inches. And I'm just going to rotary cut it and just pull this and sew it on the end. That's so that I'm not going to have seams all lined up through this. Got it? Okay, and it does actually say that right there. And then just use a regular 1/4 inch seam and 15 stitches to the inch. Okay, so I'm just going to get this lined up here. Ta-da! Started, yes, okay. And then I'm just going to do some assembly line sewing. That's all lined up. So now I'm just going to bring the rest of my pieces. I'm going to flip them right sides together and do that little, the neat technique where you never stop till you're done. So just go, take this and put this right side up. And take this piece and put it right sides together to it. And chain it along there. Do you guys do this? Oh, sure. I love that answer. Yay. You did it right. Okay, so this one, take the other end and just keep on going. So finally, you get this whole big long thing, this loop-de-doop. That's what you should say to yourself. I'm going to make a loop-de-doop. What's a better thing to say? Okay, here. Cut it. Pull it out. So you've got all these loops going along, right? And then when you're all done, you just cut, in between, and you have this great big long strip. All right? And so then you have to do the same thing with the second one, right? That was too much fun. But I remember that it was my friend Loretta Smith that told me this. She said, like, when you have this whole set all lined up, you just keep on picking up get rid of the first one, pick up the second one right behind it, and just push it down. Okay, across here, pick up the next two, pair it together. Sew it. I didn't ask you if you all have made a quilt before. Yeah? Let me see. Raise your hands. Who's made a quilt? How many quilts? Are there's no new people? You're a new person? That's why you look so terrified. You're excited? So can you sew? That's all you have to know. You don't actually have to know too much whenever you quilt, because quilting is just sewing, right? Okay, so now I've got 2 long strips, and I'm just going to cut this one apart. I'm stuck. Ooh. And then take, what was this one? This one is the accent. Yep, 1 3/4, and this one is the binding, and it's 1 1/2. Okay, so it would be really good if I put these right sides together, huh? So now remember, this right here, there's no seam to be right straight across from it. See, that was the 10-inch one. So I'm just going to take this whole long strip and pedal. I have my 1/4-inch foot on my sewing machine, and so what I'm going to do is just line it up and use the 1/4-inch on my foot. You could have your sew straight on there and just go ahead. Whoops, let me get that all lined up. You still use, okay, I'm not sewing very good this morning. It was that too much coffee. Okay, so let's just pedal. This is what's really good. So you can just line it up, and this seam, it would be really good if you pressed it open. Okay, and it's wrapped up so nice, so I'm just going to take that. Okay, so now let's just see. There. Now you can really see the red is the binding, the yellow is the accent, and now before you fold it in half, this is very important, you press your seam toward the binding. Remember, the binding is the red. You press your seam toward the binding, and then you take and you fold it in half so you see just this little bit right there. Okay? So now we get to get the quilt. See, this is really good. I'm taking all the attention off of you, Teresa.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. So this is kind of interesting, a little backwards, but we planned the binding. Okay, let's see if we can get this here. Okay, yes, take it and pull it. I'm going to do the short side so I can get to the corner quicker. So we planned the binding so it would match the backing. Isn't that pretty? So we can, it's actually a reversal quilt. I like that idea. So I'm just going to start right in the middle, and I'm on the back, a little bit different than the way you usually do it, right? I'm starting on the back, and I'm going to place this so that you see the color of the flange right here. That's the color of the flange, okay? And, oh, Teresa's nearly done. Set it to 3.0 stitch length, a long stitch length. And you do have to use your, okay, that's good. Red is good. Okay, you do need to use your walking foot so that it glides over it. You really want to have the color of thread in the flange. She's got red right now because we always use red. But anyhow, you want to match, in the end, the color of the flange. You'll see it. Okay, so start in the middle of a side. Leave about 6 inches loose, okay? And how you doing? You make sure that it's very good to have a needle to sew with, Teresa. You should always have a needle in your machine.
You want it at 3.5?
3.5. Okay, that's good. Let's move this all out of the way and move that. Okay, and I'm not going to use this, so put that up. So the hardest thing, oh, this is good. Did you notice my new table? Ooh, isn't it beautiful? My new koala studio. And this came just in time. Okay, so this is good. Needle up and pull out this. Okay, leave that end, slide it under, and I have to figure out how I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch, how I'm going to guide. Let me see. I think I'm going to just follow my underneath. I have a little mark that I can just follow, but I don't want to sew a seam allowance as wide as my foot. Okay, let's look and see if this is good. I see what I'm guiding on my foot. What do you think? Is coming out? It's coming out on the other side. It's coming. Woo! Teresa, maybe you should come and help manage this whole quilt. What were we thinking? What were we thinking about doing such a big quilt? Okay, like this. Okay, come on this side beside me. Because I want to keep it flat so that Ari can see it. Isn't that good? I want this flat in the front. And do you see? Oh, yes, look, the red's showing up really good. Do you see that? Okay, so it's about 1/4 of an inch, isn't it? About 1/4 of an inch, or about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so now I'm running up into the corner. I'm just zooming along here. Yeah, zooming along. It really helps. You should always have a Teresa to stand by and help you. And I'm checking for a pin. Just one pin, that's all she allows me. And I'm looking down here at this corner, and I am judging what my seam allowance is. And I'm just going to put that pin right in there. Okay? And now just keep on stitching right down to that pin. And when I get to the pin, I'm going to stop with my needle down. One, stop. Okay, now I've stopped from the corner, and now my foot is raised. I'm just going to turn this in the angle, turn this, and we're going to just stitch right out to the corner. And is this one of your illustrations? Okay, do you see it? What number is it? 8. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch right out to the corner. Okay, and I'm just going to cut it and show you what I did. There. Ah! I just went right out to the corner. Is it perfect? Oh, good, thank you. Reward me, tell me how good it is. And yeah, you can see it on the back. That's really good. Okay, so now I can take out the pin. And now I'm going to fold it straight up. Fold it straight up on an angle. And then I'm going to just take it, get that stiletto there, and fold it back down, like that. Okay, so it's my flange color. Are we doing good? Okay, now get this back in the machine. Move it with me, Teresa. Okay, and I'm going to start sewing again with the same seam allowance. Okay, and now I'm going to just start sewing right along here. Get this all lined up. I'm so glad that you did such a nice job rolling it up, Teresa. Thank you. It's all on the floor right now. Okay, so now you're just going to keep on going around the outside edge. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit and wait. I'm just going to go a little bit further and stop. See, there's a seam right here in the yellow, but no seam in the red. This was where I was talking, so if you would have had both seams on top of each other, it would have been very, very bulky. Okay, so now I'm just pretending that I went the whole way around. Good? And now, when I come into the opposite side, let us see. So I've got these two pieces that I'm going to join. And I literally measure them out. Let's just pretend this. I measure them out so that if I just sew a seam allowance right here, the seam allowance right here, actually you open it up and sew that seam allowance together so that when you turn it, you don't even see anything. And this is the trickiest part. But I personally like this. I know my friend likes to tuck in, but I like to open it up here, sew it together, and then refold it, and then just drop it down. And it's all lined up. Yeah? And that shows you, ooh, let's see this. Roll the drums. I'm about to show you the corner. Are you ready? Roll the drums. Okay, so you go like that, around. Oh, that looks pretty good, huh? That looks good. And this is the front. And now I'm going to just roll that. Aww. Is that pretty? And get this all tucked in there. And then roll this around to the front. And tuck in the corner. I forgot what your little trick was, Teresa, what you told me. And I'm going to take some pins, but little clips would be really good. I'm just going to pin that. I'm going to go straight in there like that.
Pin this side first so it doesn't fight you the corner when you sew it.
All right, let's try that.
So pin this and then overlap this.
Okay, I'm going to get some pins.
So this is on top.
Take this one. Okay,
Yes.
Start here. Roll it around. And you can you see my red thread? This flange is now covering the red thread. And so now I'm just going to put a pin there. And it's right up against the edge. I don't have anything extra. I'm going to go like this. It's so pretty. And roll it straight out so I have that 45-degree line, right? And now I'm going to learn from you yet, huh? And put that in. And now you can just take this and fold it back over. And that's going to make a perfect miter. Wow! Isn't that nice?
So that one is on top. It doesn't fight you with a walking foot.
Okay, so it doesn't fight you. That's good. I think beautiful. And then you just keep on bringing this back around. And so lay it down. Okay, I'm going to just tuck that in a little bit more. Make it perfect, more perfect. Okay, I've got it. You just have to play with it a little bit. And I see that I'm getting it there. So, did you understand all of that? Yes. It's pretty easy, huh? Yes. But we're not done yet. There's more magic to come. If I can just get a pin. Okay, so now I would put yellow thread. Okay, completely turn it over. Yellow thread in the top and red thread in the bobbin. And right now I do have red thread in, so it's going to work. But if I put yellow thread in and I match up to the yellow, you're never going to see it. So let me just slide this under. And now I want to put the needle of my machine right in that seam. And it's basically like stitch in the ditch. Okay. The owner of Baby Lock says, keep your lid down. It's just like the men in the bathroom. That's what he says. Okay, so now I have yellow thread in my top, red in my bottom, and I am very carefully stitching by machine right in that ditch. And it's just making this cute little yellow flange hanging out there. Very, very cute. And when I get down to this corner, one more stitch down. Okay, now my needle is down. You just pivot. Can you see that, Eric? Can you see the stitches? No, that's good. That's why it's so good. It's such a secret. It's a secret. Okay, and now I'm just stitching along the other side. And you can, you know, another thing that you can do, one of the latest techniques that we've had to do whenever we're in a real hurry, is just take a little bit of Elmer's glue and glue this down just to hold it in place, and then you have to stitch over it. We've done that when we're running into the production and our quilts aren't bound. You didn't know that, huh? So if you want, if you're really good at it, you can go ahead and just fold this from the back instead of pinning it all down in the beginning, and just keep on stitching right around there. Want to see it from the back side right now? Okay, so let's take out the pins here. And that's what it looks like on the top. And on the right side, oh, it's pretty good. Now do you see the stitching from the bobbin? It runs along here. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the binding, but it's just running along beside it. Probably maybe at this time, which would be better thread? Maybe white along there? Yeah, white, so you wouldn't really see it. But definitely yellow on the top. Very pretty. And that's it. That was easy, huh? Very, very easy. Would you like to see how to do the bear tracks now? It didn't take me long. I'm going to do a really fast lesson on bear tracks. Okay? I hope you like that. That's good because I really like it. So what's really fun with this block, this was one I made last night very quickly, and I took it from this package of blue, really blue 10-inch squares. And some of it's kind of bright and wild, but I really liked this blue. I thought it was really pretty and that it would look good. So I took a layer cake of a print. Definitely use small scale prints or solid looking, and a package of white 10-inch squares, or you could just get background and cut it up. Cut 10-inch squares and cut it up. So the cutting instructions for a rotary cut bear's paw block, it's all pictured out on page 5. Merritt did this for you. It's placing a print right sides together with a white. And I'm on page 5. Can you see that? Okay, so there are two pieces. The bear comes from 4.5-inch squares. Right here, the first one. The paw is 4.5 inches. This is the paw. You need to have 2 whites and 2 blues. So if you cut 2 4.5-inch squares at the same time, you get 4, right? So you'll have 2 and 2, light and dark. And then you all have corners. You have the corners, 2 dark and 2 light. They are 2.5-inch squares. So this is the 2.5-inch squares right here. And then you need to have half square triangles. So this is a 3 by 6 that you can get 4 half square triangles. You need to have a total of 16. So you're not going to get it just from this set. So you make a second set. Okay? So these are all 3-inch by 9-inch. 3-inch by 9-inch. And we wanted to get it done fast. So we drew diagonal lines from corner to corner on each one of these, and then sewed a 1/4 inch seam beside them. All right, with me? Okay, so now we got to make some half square triangles. And I'll just use this. I'm just going to cut out one of them. Should I cut them all out? Whatever. I'm just going to cut one. I'm going to cut one out here and here. I'm excited. It only took me half an hour to show you how to do the flange binding. And then we're going to cut this in half down through the middle. So we've already got 2, right? And there's just these little bit of stitches right along the tip because of the way we assembly line sewn. If you have a seam ripper, you can take those out, or you can just go like that and open them. And now we want to press toward the dark. Okay, press, oh wait, not in this one. We're going to use, we'll do it 2 ways. Okay, first, before you press, we'll do it this way first. There is a 2.5-inch line on the ruler. It's the 6.5-inch triangle square ruler. Put the 2.5-inch line on the stitches, and there's just a little extra around the outside edge. Trim that off and turn it, and cut those corners. That's gone. And now you can press it toward the dark. And press that one towards the dark too, because I'll show you the second way. Everybody does something different. So look, so she pressed it open, and I want this end. Look at this. I've got a square up on this end, and I'm lining the diagonal line down on the seam. I've got the 2.5-inch on the outside edges, and trim this way, and trim this way, and cut off the tips, and it's perfect. Voila. Okay, I'm going to show you. You know what? My sister Patty is using this ruler all the time, and now I'm really excited because I never used it before, but this is really cool. I'm going to cut out another one. Let me show you. This is called a double square up ruler, because first of all, I just did the 6.5-inch top half, whoop, with all the lines and all the 1/8-inch lines. And the other side is for the half square triangles. Triangle up to 4 3/4 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to just go ahead, and you can use this for all kinds of things. So the first one, first side, now I'm just going to cut this You should have reminded me, Orion. I wasn't thinking. Now, there is a piece of glow line tape at 2 1/4. So we're just going to pull it off of there. So you don't have to look at that part. Huh? I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay. So what size did I want to make this?
2.5.
Find the 2 1/2 inch line. Put 2 1/2 on the stitches. And you can push it to one side. So all you have to do is trim one side and then trim off the corners. See? Okay. See the stitches? Are you going to worry about the stitches going across the top? No. Whoop. Now you can press the seam towards the dark. It's perfect, right? And now we're going to do the second half. Press the seams toward the dark. Open and press. We're going to get these all done yet.
Yep.
Okay, now we use the square end. So we can just put the diagonal line right down through the center. Slide it up in the corner like that. See, we can do only one side. 2 1/2, 2 1/2 diagonal line. And trim off one side and trim off the other. And cut off the tip. Perfect! This is really cool. I have never used it. Orion designed it some time ago, but you know how it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks? Well, the old dog just learned something, and that was really fun. Thank you, thank you. And look, we're getting all of these beautiful piles of half square triangles. Okay, so now we're just going to turn the page, and there's AccuQuilt cutting in here as well as rotary cutting. But regardless, this is the block itself. You're going to make 2 white paws with blue background. And you're going to make 2 blue paws with white background. So that's how you get the 4. And the amazing thing, ta-da! Look at the back. You should be impressed. I'm taking 2 minutes to show you this. It took Teresa and I 3 days to get to this, didn't it?
Yes.
We should be paid a lot of money for figuring all these seams out. Every single seam lays flat and is locked together. So it was tricky, but we did it. We did it. Okay. Okay, so now I want to go through the different steps. There are 2 different ways to sew the claws. 2 different ways to sew the claws. 2 different ways. And so I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to turn my pieces exactly like that. 1 and 2, right? Okay, so from that, is that right? Yes. They're kind of like they're heading to the right. Okay, and then I'm going to set up the second set. And now this time, the dark is heading to the left, right? No? You shaking your hands, shaking your heads. Yeah, that's the first set. That's the second set. And so I'm going to flip them right sides together, and right sides together. But actually, it says stack 4 of them and make 4. Okay, so let me just get my next pieces out. I'm going to get, I did so many pieces for you guys. I'm going to have a whole other quilt ready. I'm so excited. So,
Now
okay.
I make sure I hold myself so I don't fall.
Hold yourself, and Teresa,
Yeah.
push the needle up really high and screw it really tight.
Okay.
I'm supposed to sew with the needle in my machine.
Got it. You know how you do? You put your fingernails in your bottom of your needle,
Yeah?
and then you make sure it's all the way up,
And you push it up.
and then you screw that. See? I'll show you.
Yeah, you better screw it or I'm screwed
Look,
good, huh?
You put your needle. You put your needle
Yeah.
on your nail, and then push it up with one of your hands, and the other hand you screw the needle all the way up.
Lefty loosey and righty tighty. I have to say that every time.
Okay.
Lefty loosey and righty tighty. Okay, now a 1/4 inch foot would be really good. Actually,
Okay.
I can do this, but it's too hard to talk and do it too.
Yeah, I agree.
And you have, this is the hardest thing on television, you have to keep your hands out of the view so that the camera can show what's going on. That's why I'm talking to you while she's doing it.
All right.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay, so I'm going to
Great.
check this. I'm
Check
going
it
to
out.
check this.
You sit in there.
Whoop. To the right? Still to the right? Okay. Okay, hold on to the chair. I'm going to go and do a running jump on it. Okay, and so you might really need to have a little jumper scrap to get started, but I have this 1/4 inch foot on. I'm going to put it down and sew a 1/4 inch. And you know what else? These are like toenail stitches.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
We
You
could
changed
stick our
them.
toenail through these. Go back to
Yeah.
2.0. Okay, I'm sewing down this one. Okay, and let me check on this one. How are the arrows supposed to go? It's going to the right, right? Is it right? Let me check. Oh, yep, it's right. It goes really fast when you do it right. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go like this. Okay, so now I'm doing the second one. Okay, good. It's done. Cut it. Okay, now this is what's tricky. These are very, very important techniques. When you look at the picture now, it says, okay, it's looking like that. That's right. And it says down at the bottom, press to the right. Okay, press the seam to the right. Can you see that little seam? Okay. And it says press to the right. Okay, so this is what I found out. If I want to press this seam to the right, if I turn it so that the stitches are on the right, this being the right and that being the left, if I have the stitching on the right, then I can just open it. Press along there. And now look. In what direction is the seam going? To the right. To the right. Yay! Okay, now let's go this one. So this one, this is what I started out with. And I stitched it. Eventually I got the stitching in. And underneath the picture, how does it say to press the seam? To the left. Okay, so if I flip it over, let me see. This is the left side and this is the right side, right? So if I want to press it to the left, put the threads on the left, okay? And open it up, whoop, and press it. And now, which direction are the seams going? Yay! That's really good, right? And will you remember it now that you figured it out?
If we have this paper, yes.
If you have the paper, you can do it. It's to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. And the thing is, Did you know that I'm dyslexic? This is not that easy for me. So all I really need to have now, and this is going to be really cool, I'm using my new ruler, and I'm cutting out a 4.5-inch square, two 4.5-inch squares, yeah, for this. And in addition, I need my corners that are what size? What size are these? 2.5. So I'm going to cut those out and down along here. And I have both dark and light in the same stack. Okay, so let's just open these up here. Boy, this is looking good. Okay, so now let's just go over here to this next page. It says sewing 2 dark sets together. We only have these 2 sets, right? It's got a dark paw, right? A dark paw. And I'm going to turn these 2 pieces to look like the picture. So this is the one. This is the second one. And in the corner goes a light. Is that right? Yep. That's good. Yay! Woohoo! I did it! Okay, now you're not going to believe this. Now we have to take these same 2, and I'm going to put in a light set. That's the very next one. This is the light set. Okay? But if you take these guys and you turn them, let me do it just like the picture, okay? Here is this up here, and let me see. Well, I don't think that's right. Here, like that, and like that. Whoops. I have to have the dark square. Oh, you guys, I was tricking you just to make sure. And that's the second one. Cool. Is that cool? All from those same pieces. It's just like magic, isn't it? And so now basically, I'll just sew this one together. I can only sew one together, right? And I'm just going to take this. And it says, okay, flip this right sides together. Flip this right sides together. And the next illustration shows assembly line. So do, 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 do. And look at this. Isn't that cool? No fighting the seam. Yay. I hate it when I have to fight the seams, when you have to flip them around. Okay, get that all lined up. Okay, put that down. This is called a jumper scrap, so that whenever you get it in there, oh, thank you, a little bit more of a piece of fabric. That's good. Okay, and butt it right on behind. Take this piece, butt it right on behind. And line that up. That seam is going to go flat. And let's just get that all lined up at the bottom. Pull to stretch just a little bit if you need to. And cut the threads. Okay, now whenever you look at it, it's going to be joined together. Open this up like so. Attached, that's just like a pin. Okay, the next time it says flip this right sides together. The top seam goes down, the underneath seam goes up. So they're going to lock together. Get that all lined up. And I know I have a stiletto. Ah, yes. Sometimes you just use what you have, right? If it's all laying around there, it's good. Okay, so when you get to here, you want this to lock together and match. So I'm just pulling down on the underneath, pushing up on the top so that it lines up there. Hold this seam down. And I found out that you can actually kind of keep your stiletto right under there And so, okay. And the really cool thing is right now, it matches. Ooh, don't be too excited. Is that perfect? Perfect. Woohoo! Okay, now it says from the back side, press the last seams that you just sewed toward the claws. These are the claws. You press this seam, this was the last seam I sewed, toward the claws. This one is also, this is going to go up. And you're going to see it looks just like, you know what, it's a little bit flipped. Okay. And so you want to just press it, Teresa? Sure. Goes like this and out.
Like, and this is it.
And this goes, then when you sew them all together, you do the opposites and then the darks. And when you sew them, you swirl that center to make it lay very flat. Is that pretty? Mm-hmm. And so I let me see. Oh, I don't have actually 4 to sew together to you, but it's a technique that is shown on the next page of how to sew the block together. And now Patty does not know this, but my sister is going to get this quilt. I can't wait. So now the fun thing is once your blocks are all done, you don't even have to put a lattice in between. You want to put the blocks. Teresa, will you come and help get this all smoothed on? Mm-hmm. Okay, start and put the light one in the left corner. Every piece after is going to go light in the left corner. So whenever you put them together, okay, now start another row. Left. And this one's kind of light. Yellow. What do you think?
Very pretty.
And one more light. And the miracle is that whenever you sew these seams together, they lock. Hallelujah. Don't get too excited, huh? And what I've done is every time I was making a block, I have all these parts left over. So I just clip them together. This is for the sawtooth. You make extras of every color, and it goes very fast and easy. You just sew pairs together, and then the pairs into pairs until you actually need for each side, you need 6. You need 6 2.5-inch squares. These were 2.5, and they just go straight across. So it's 6. So you can figure out, okay, let's see. Do the math. Put how many? Okay, this is 6 and 12 and 18 and 24. You're so good. Is that easy? And then you actually have to put a light square up in the corners. I'm very excited. Oh, we could put this one, but it doesn't. It's not the same one, but it looks pretty good, huh? Doesn't really go there, but it's good. I like it. I think it's really, really pretty. So now I can't wait to finish my bear track, get my flange binding on, and I'm set. I've got 2 more bear's paw blocks. Thank you.